Your style and your flavor make the city rock. They must say the season come out with a bang. Coach Minzy, best round here. Remember that.
Viewers, welcome again to another edition of the Coach's Desk with host Coach Minzy. And it's good to be here another day, sharing another video with you, my friends. Now, we all know what is happening between the JFF and the players. It's impasse, no decision. One is saying take it or leave it, according to some sources, allegedly. Uh, and we understand that the boys would have rejected the offer. You understand? But after listening to an interview with the JFF president, it seems to me like the JFF wants to meet somewhere. The JFF wants this to work out. They want to ensure that football is played. They want to ensure that the players uh, are satisfied. They would have made that pitch of the $2,000. Um, Even though it was rejected, they are still open because, from what I understand, is that President Ricketts is saying that even though the Reggae Boys said that the $7,000 is just a pitch, but they would have rejected the $2,000, but they have not said or they have not come out with a figure that they believe would be reasonable, and that's where the thing is right now. Um, from what I also understand is that the JFF, why they initially made this offer, incidentally, it is coming from $1,000 as what the president says, and they move it to $2,000. They are saying that what happened in 2015 when they paid the players $5,000, it actually left the JFF in debt. Yes. So this debt has been brought forward, and this is why the JFF is in so much issues monetarily, financially. Understand? So, in other words, they are saying that they will not be able to give an offer close to even $5,000 because they don't want the same fate to happen like it did in 2015 when they made that amount hoping for things to work out. It didn't qualify for the World Cup, and it left the JFF in a huge debt. So I can understand on that grounds why the JFF are actually doing what they are doing right now. But I want you to just listen to this interview, and I want you to come up with your own thinking on what is happening. Are we getting conflicting stories? Are the stories straight? Because you're hearing this on one side. Or why can't they just sit behind closed door and sort this thing out and stop putting it out in the public? You understand? So I want you to listen to this interview. Tell me what are your thoughts on what President Ricketts said. Thanks again.
What happened, George and Maria, is that the negotiating team, and I don't really want to micromanage, but the negotiating team had actually advised me that the lawyer, Mr. Robert Taylor, had actually asked for an extension based, of course, on a request made by the defense. We have not gotten an official response from the lawyer to say that I am letting the players, and they have categorically rejected the contract. So all of what we're hearing is actually via social media. But for an official response from the lawyer, Robert Taylor, actually representing the players, we have not yet gotten such information. That's what we got from the lawyer, who is actually formally representing us. But we have seen on social media some And that would suggest that they are not in agreement with context of the contract. But to say we have got an official response from the player, not yet. I wouldn't say on the numbers, but I know a number of players have actually gotten copies of contracts. And some of them, I'm sure, will sign, some will not sign. You see, I want to make very clear is that the JFF is not in a fight with the players. We don't want to get in a fight with the players. And the players do have rights. And of course, they have a right to ask for what they want. But it's for us to find this middle ground, us meeting the JFF with the players, and to respectfully and amicably settle the wage dispute. We don't want to be upset with players, and we want to take it all the kind of attitude. We want to speak with the players, negotiate with the players, and come up with something that is reasonable for both the players and the team. I probably want to think so, yeah. I probably wouldn't be able to tell you off the top of my head. But everybody would know that we inherited a federation that was deep in debt. And we are trying to get ourselves some kind of a stability. And we managed to have saved off $60 million from that debt. And like you did say, the Companies Act would certainly hold us culpable if we were to just arbitrarily go into arrangements that would put us further into indebtedness. So we want to be reasonable. And based on my information, that $5,000 per game includes, based on what I was advised, bonuses. So it would be 5,000 inclusive of everything. What we our initial offer was 2,000 plus 1,000 for bonus, and 5,000, 1,000 for winning a game, 500 for draw. Right, and then of course the bonus for at least 15% if we do get the World Cup with the percent of the price. But the room certainly ought to be there for further discussion. We just don't want to have the take or leave it, dude. The players and JFF must have a good relationship. I want that to continue that. First, like I said, they are adults, they are grown people, right? To make, George, you know what my biggest concern has been is that we would have heard of this 7,000 ask from the players. And I understand that the captain actually said via whatever media house that they know that the 7,000 was ridiculous, but that's where they're starting. My problem is I have not yet heard what would be an acceptable figure for the players. Since that 7,000 is ridiculous, and that's where they start. That's why I'm saying, George, that we have not heard via the negotiating or from the players what that middle ground would be. And I would honestly want to think that we ought to have heard from the players whether we could accept $2,100 or $6,900 or $3,000. That we have not heard. And I'd love to know from the players what is the figure that you would have in mind. We would have tasked with the responsibility a committee that, of course, would have the overall responsibility to start and, of course, complete the negotiations. They would have been the middle ground between the JFF and the players. So they would report to us from time to time. And really, we don't want to micromanage. So we have given them the responsibility. And, of course, we expect to complete the task. We will now discuss with them where their thought processes are, and then, of course, see what's next. I have a meeting this evening with the hierarchy of the JFF at 7 o'clock, and certainly it could be a one-item agenda where we just look at how best we we're going to deal with this particular issue. I'm saying that I still have not heard of a figure that the players would accept. And again, I want to reiterate that the players and the JFF must have a proper relationship. And I am not going to be vindictive to anybody. I'm not going to be antagonistic to anybody. We just want to have a proper relationship and to find some middle ground to settle this wage dispute. Like I said, we meet this evening at 7 o'clock. Then, of course, we'll continue meeting with negotiating, and then we'll take it from there. Negotiating with Mr. Taylor, who was representing the players. Mr. Taylor was the person representing the players, and he would be the party that was negotiating with the JFF. So I'm pretty certain that they would have had discussion in this regard. They meaning Mr. Taylor and the negotiating team. And like I'm saying, that the JFF actually started at 1,000 and went to 2,000. So we really need to sit down and work out and see how we can, because the truth is, we don't want to start what we think that would. I think we have what that could do. Where we're at the personally, that's what I want. Personally, I am not the JFF. I lead the JFF, but there's a board of directors and there's an executive committee, and we will meet this evening and we'll come up with a final decision. No, not until I speak with the negotiating team. I speak because I really don't want to go over there, so to speak. We're going to meet with the executive, then of course I have to meet with